Welcome to Carpool Conversations, where our goal is to help equip parents to have meaningful, Christ-centered conversations with their kids. I'm Amy Lowe, and today on our podcast, we are going to be talking about the benefit of camp for kids. We work at WinShape Camps, so specifically, we will be kind of peeking behind the curtain of WinShape Camps, but we know that we are not the only ones that run Jesus-loving camps across the country. And so really, we believe in the power of camp. And we're just going to show you a little bit about what happens behind the scenes with us at WinShape Camps. But it really does hopefully speak to the benefit of all Jesus-loving camps, not just ours. And to do that, I have two great people with me in the room that I'll introduce in just a second, but they both work for WinShape Camps, have had many years of camp experience, and work tirelessly with our team behind the scenes planning for camp. And that's, again, what we're going to be sharing a little bit about today. And I don't know if you've ever sent your kids to camp. Maybe they are at camp right now and you miss them. I pick up my kids from camp on a Friday, and I'm so excited to see them, and I can't wait to pick their brain and hear about what they did at camp and all the things they learned, and I just have a million questions. And they get in the car, and they maybe answer, at least this is just my experience, y'all, but they maybe answer one or two questions. And then you know what they do? They fall asleep for the rest of the way home, which is good because that means we wore them out at camp in all the best ways. But at the same time, I always think, gosh, in my seat, in my job, I know, and I get to see camp because I visit camp and I oversee camp. But so many of our parents are in the same parenting shoes as me, and they get those kids in the car and they want to know more about their experience and they don't give them much. So that's why we are here today, is to tell them, here's some of the things that we do behind the scenes of camp so that you get, again, just like a peek into what they're experiencing. I hope it makes you appreciate it more. I hope that it makes it more than just a fun thing that your kids get to experience, and it is fun. But it's way more than that, and we're going to get to shine a light on that a little bit this podcast. It's so funny. Even now, my kids, they just randomly throughout the year share tidbits about camp. It's so fun. It's like, oh, where did that come from? But something like cues them to tell me a story of camp. So I get it peppered throughout like my entire year, and I bet a lot of parents do. So we'll put the pieces together a little bit more here. But thankfully, we have two experts that are going to speak to us and kind of tell us all the things about behind the scenes of camp. We have Emma Del Sesto and Keenan Riley. Emma Del Sesto works for Girls Camp and Keenan works for Boys Camp, and you're going to be blessed by hearing from them today. So I'm going to let Emma go first. And Emma, you and Keenan, y'all have the same like titles, except for you get to serve on the girls' camp side and Keenan on the boys' camp side. So tell them a little bit about your role and what you get to do here at camp in your role. And then tell us a little bit about your family, and then we'll do the same for Keenan.
Yeah, that's great, Amy. So like Amy said, my name is Emma Del Sesto. I get to work for WinShape Camps for Girls, and Keenan and I both get to have the title of Camper Care Team Leader. And so we get to care really for all the people, I think, at camp. So really specifically, we spend a lot of time talking with and about campers, but we also focus on staff that work with campers most directly, kind of in those counselor roles. And then we also work with parents and families that, you know, contact us throughout the year and just any way that we can really effectively serve them during the summer. So that dominates our year. And then during the summer, we get to kind of help support from afar. We don't live at camp like some of those coordinators that you might see, but we get to visit pretty often and just kind of get to support from that side as we help make sure everything stays organized and hopefully coordinated and fun for your camper. So, And then in terms of me personally, this is going to be my 11th summer with WinShape Camps in 2025. Wow. I got involved when I was in college and got to see both day camps and overnight camps. Met my husband through camp, and we live south of Atlanta and have really enjoyed being a part of WinShape all these years.
I love it.
Yes, and my name is Keenan Riley. I love my job. Very grateful to be able to do what I do, and the impact of camp goes back to when I was a camper in 1995, so a long time ago. And so having personally been impacted by the ministry of camp, but specifically WinShape, just incredible to be able to still be here. Been serving, just celebrated 20 years full time in March. And so very, very grateful to have been a part of the growth of camp and, been involved with, the hiring of great staff and just the ministry that happens at camp. And, it's not a long period of time, 5 days or 12 days or whatever. It's, God just does incredible work in that small amount of time. On a personal note, my wife had also been a camper and worked her summer staff as a staffer. And so we have that in common. So the Lord used WinShape in our lives individually and then used WinShape to bring us together. That was, we just celebrated 15 years of that, a marriage, December. And we have 3 kiddos. Our oldest, Avery, goes to girls camp. Our son, Caleb, boys camp. And our third, his name's Joel. He's actually going to participate in his first year at our WinShape Camp for Communities at our local church. So the investment of camp, the impact of camp, is just beyond words how grateful I am for that ministry.
Is he ready for day camps? Is he excited?
The question is, day camp's ready for him? Honestly, he's going to love. Yes, he's going to love it, and hopefully,
so fun.
He doesn't run out any staffers.
There you go. And then next year they'll all go to overnight.
Yes, so that's the plan. So
that's so fun. Okay. Well, that's who we got here with us today. You're going to be grateful that they are speaking into this and you're going to learn so much. My first question for both of you is, why do you think camp is so important to kids?
Well, I'll take the start here. Again, having lived camp as a kid, it created just it took me away from, just the hard things in the world. Like it became a space that was just set apart, where I could really, have, some freedom and liberty to be myself more fully, I guess. And not that I was putting on a facade at home, but just, I didn't have, the structure maybe I had at home. It was different. It was still very structured, obviously, but it's a unique experience that, where you're not faced constantly. And again, back when I was a camper, all the things that we were facing, obviously were still real, but it's even crazier now, obviously. Yeah. But it's a place to be able to step us, being like in the WinShape bubble or camp bubble where there's protection from some of the outside distractions, the things that can take our attention away from, really significant things. And so I really love camp as it's a place to where you can really try things that you've never tried before. So I use the word camp is kind of a microcosm of real life, where you have the opportunity to try things in an environment that you would never try before. You uniquely with WinShape, like kids come to camp from all over the place. It's not necessarily just like a youth group comes to, and their youth leaders lead. It's like they're coming as individuals, and they're forced to learn how to make relationships, learn how to interact with people. So that's such a significant thing that I think is such a benefit to what camp can be, and also it's a place to like I said, try things, but also to maybe fail at things. Yeah, where it could be done in a safe environment where you got people who come alongside of you. They don't have to, but choose to. Obviously as a parent, like my kids probably feel like, well, my dad has to come in and help me. Or, but as counselors, a girls' camp or a boys' camp, like they come in, they can just really step into a child's life, and it creates such a unique connection in a way that it wouldn't at home. Because again, I'm the parent of my child. My child's like, well, that's my dad's job. I guess he's supposed to do that. But when someone, out of the goodness of their heart, out of compassion for them, out of the love of Christ in them, that just takes the ministry of camp to a place that is wonderful. So tremendously grateful that we do that.
Yeah. I think everything Keenan said hits the nail on the head. I think camp is just so unique because at WinShape, obviously, we're a Christian camp. And so we get to be a Christian environment for so many kids. And we never know what the campers that are coming to camp are walking in with, whether they come from, Christian environments, Christian circles where they're constantly being encouraged to think about Jesus and just think about the gospel. But we know that at WinShape, they're going to think about the gospel because everything that we do is programmed back to have campers reflect on who is God to me. Where am I at in my relationship with God? What does this truth look like for me in my life? And I think giving kids an opportunity to really be saturated in a Christ-filled environment for 1 week or 2 weeks is just truly life-changing. And I think you can't understate that. I think that's what parents tell us they appreciate when kids go home is they can see the difference that just kind of taking them out of that world that is full of distractions or looks like a lot of things and putting them in a place where it's just Christ saturated really makes a difference on all of us, including our staff. And so that alone is impactful. And I think the other thing about camp that Keenan also hit is just the impact of seeing young college students work with campers is really impactful for them. I mean, some of the things that our team has been challenged this year in is through a book that we read called Anxious Generation. And in that book, it talks a lot about how, especially in the teenage years, the peer influence is stronger than the parental influence. And I don't think that's something any parent ever wants to hear. It's not necessarily something you're going to shout from the rooftops being grateful for, but it is something you can be grateful for if those peers are great influences and if those peers are also following Christ. And so I think getting to put influential peers and influential role models in sightline of campers for 1 week or 2 weeks really makes that Christ-saturated environment even more impactful.
Yeah. It makes the faith element come to life in ways that maybe it doesn't happen in their day-to-day life. And I think probably most campers that come to camp go to church on Sundays, but they might leave their faith there at the church. And I think that camps, we do a great job of camps of just weaving Jesus and scripture into everything that we do because it should impact everything that we do. And they do leave. We hear that a lot from parents in the surveys when they leave of like, man, this just really came real to them because it came off the page and into their life. Okay. So those are all great thoughts. We could keep going, but those are great high level reasons why camp is important. At our camp, as many camps do, we program that day down to the minute.
Down to the minute.
Full. It's full of fun and it's full of intentionality. And again, our parents see that because we have them pack clothes for nightlives and they know that the kids pick skills. And so they know like different pieces and they see the pictures of what's going on at camp. But I think a lot of times they're like, I wonder what they're doing there in that activity. So talk to us about parts of the program that are impactful in your mind so that, again, parents can kind of see like, hey, there's a rhyme and reason to what we're doing, and we intentionally put this day together. Emma, you can go first.
Yeah, we can kind of pepper back and forth on these because I think there's so many. But I think the first one that comes to my mind, ironically, is a time that might not look programmed, but it is programmed and it's free time. Again, just another plug for Anxious Generation. Like our team has read that this year and just been really challenged by it. But one of the things that author draws a lot of attention to is how as kids have less and less free time, they're actually missing out on like very specific developmental skills that are going to set them up well for the rest of their life. And just how free time allows them to be creative. It allows them to problem solve. It allows them to figure out how to relationally share a toy when they both want to do the same thing or when there's a disagreement on the playground. Those are actually developmental skills that are happening that they're getting a chance to build. And so we see a value in free time as an opportunity to present those developmental spaces too. Obviously, yes, we want them to give them an opportunity to like do the things that they want to do that they might not get to do in other parts of the day. But also part of the reason we do it is because we know it's actually for their good and that it can benefit them beyond just I got to do what I want for a few hours. You know, it's also setting them up well, hopefully for the long term.
I think another thing that another specific aspect of our programming that we offer that's so cool is our skills program. Because, come to camp, you're going to have a lot of fun. And this gives some ability to kind of choose what they do, give them the choice to select some some skills that they might be interested in. I think it's really neat because they don't have to be experts or like super good at skill.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we're not, like a sports camp per se, where they're coming to improve on their soccer game or their basketball or whatever that might be. They get to come and, maybe they just don't have a lot of confidence in it. They get a place to come in and, everybody's going to be competing on the same level. So it gives them a chance to get better at it for sure. But it's not something they have to come in and be like a superstar necessarily. Now there's obviously some kids who come in, they're really good at some of those things, but it gives a chance for kids who just may be curious about like, hey, like, I like soccer a little bit. I'm going to try to, get better at it. And we teach them fundamentals and all those things that they go through. They walk away from camp, having more confidence in that skill. And we have so many skill offerings, boys camp, girls camp have very different, some different ones for sure. Definitely call them things differently.
Right. Have different names for them. Yeah.
Some funny ones for sure. But, the skills we offer are, for the kids who like to be more outdoors, the more athletic side of things, but we also have a lot of indoor creative type of skills.
Yeah.
So we really kind of are able to offer this a wide range of interest that kids can try that they, at home, they don't have the time or the opportunity to try something like, pottery, for example,
robotics,
that's a big one.
Robotics that we're going to have,
so many fun things,
like stuff that they might have not resources for access to.
Yeah.
Or, they just don't have the time because they have everything else at home that they're trying to manage. So love this element of what we do and offer at camp.
and they get to meet new people in each skill that they go into. It's a different group, so that makes it fun too.
So again, the variety of socialization is huge at camp. The development of that too.
Yeah, I think that's great. One of our big elements that probably a lot of parents do think of is maybe those big auditorium elements, just because you might get to see those or see like a sneak peek of those on a Friday Family Fun Day when you come to camp. But we have Jumpstart. We have those big worship times that happen in an auditorium. And that might feel like a familiar place, I would say, especially for our campers maybe that are in church every week. That feels like a expected part of their Christian programming, for lack of better terms. But the reason that we do that is because we know for so many campers, there's actually campers that connect the most in those kinds of environments. And so we like to bring that to camp and make it campified. So we're going to play games in there. We're going to have worship songs that are specific for those age groups. We're going to have a speaker that is specifically assigned to talk to elementary or specifically assigned to talk to that upper, middle, and high school. And all of that is covered in intentionality too. But we're hoping that there are campers that do connect and start to learn the gospel, start to really see the truth that we're, exploring that day or just during that week in that auditorium session. But we also hope that it sets them up really well to connect in their small groups. So every single small group at camp, at least in overnight context, is really coming back to that cabin or that suite that they're in for that week or 2 weeks of time. And they're really being invited to digest the content from the auditorium in a small group setting. So we're hoping that some of those more traditional methods that some of our campers maybe are familiar with from church or other Christian circles that they're in, they're getting to experience that too at camp, just with a little more fun sprinkled in there that kind of adds the camp magic to something that otherwise they're pretty used to.
And with WinShape specifically, this, our unifying theme for each summer kind of helps really kind of create continuity on the main stage stuff, the big group stuff,
Right.
and even down to the, devotional groups or, small groups kind of settings. So that's just an incredible thing that I know that a team of people who, take a lot of time and intentionality to get into the word and to kind of find the pain point or the burden that we want to instruct all of our campers in for the summer. And I love how it weaves its way through every day.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but it weaves its way through every camp program.
Yeah.
So if you got a boy at boys camp and you got a girl at girls camp, they come home from camp, they have they can have a great conversation about what God taught them through this particular thing. And
Good.
And even to our, international camp and our communities and our family camps.
Yeah.
I love how that theme kind of is just interwoven into what we provide for our program.
Yeah. It's so much of the foundation that we build on, just because it is, like you said, it really is everywhere. And with it being everywhere too, I know we just talked a lot about like inside elements, but we also really value the outdoors at WinShape Camps. We are a camp program, and I think you'll see that across all different camp things, like what you just mentioned, international, family camp, overnight, day camps. Everybody's going to spend a significant amount of time outside. And we think that's really good. Number one, because we know that the Lord created the earth. And so we can appreciate it and have campers outside. And we think that they might be tempted to spend a lot of time indoors at home and in front of those screens and just kind of in more indoor activities. We think there's a lot to be found in getting to enjoy outside. It kind of resets us all. I think even when we don't know that it's happening, and the same can be true for campers, we know that it's hot, and being outside sometimes is maybe not their top preference, but we know that it's good for them. That's why we do things like camp out, why we have nightlives that occur outside. We also just hope they just get some good vitamin D.
That's right.
While they're with us too.
Yeah.
I think another element just that is good for campers to be exposed to that can hopefully trickle outside of our camp experience is just personal responsibility of our kids. I know I've seen it in my own, many testimonials from parents talk about how when their kid comes to camp and they come home and they start making their bed. That's,
big win.
Yeah.
You're welcome, parents.
Yeah. The stuff of that nature where we kind of help show the importance of, personal stewardship of themselves, and so specifically, I think it's something that is a practical takeaway. Hopefully, I don't know how long it will last. I can't guarantee that, but at least there's an effort, and we'll talk about maybe in a second about just how we at Boys Camp like to use competition in making that a fun experience too. So keeping their cabin clean, making all this stuff. Those are just some good things that are hopefully some good things that they can take away in that nature. Hopefully.
Yeah. And even if they stop making their beds, that's why you send them back the next year, because you got to retrain them to hopefully make their bed.
Refresher course.
That's right. Refresher course. It never stops. And I think another thing, it's kind of like what we talked about earlier, but with the counselor influence, that's another big part of camp. I mean, we don't program every single counselor to say specific things. They're not robots. They're people that are walking with campers and whatever they're bringing, but we encourage them to have one-on-one conversations. If you want to say that part's programmed, it totally is. Like, we ask them to have one-on-one conversations with kids. And that's not just because we think like, oh, they should per se, but it's more because we see so much of the impact for campers happen in those one-on-one spaces. Like, we see kids come to camp that, share things with our staff that they're like, hey, I've been holding on to this for months and been waiting until this one-on-one moment with the counselor because I knew that you would be a safe place for me to talk to, or just a space that maybe they think is a little cool, that can help them sort through an issue maybe they're going through back at school or back at home. And so those one-on-one conversations, we know that those counselors are using those opportunities to pour into kids. But we also hope and believe that in those one-on-one conversations, as they're helping campers face issues, as they're helping them kind of find resiliency in the things that they're going through, they're also doing it with a Christ-centered nature. They're bringing up the theme. They're helping them say, okay, what does it look like for Jesus to meet you in the things that you're going through, whether you're a first grader or whether you're about to graduate and go to college. I think those one-on-ones are also a really special place too.
And I love how the one-on-ones aren't just like, you're just walking from places. It's not like, you could be doing a one-on-one in a group setting.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's obviously what we encourage, that kind of stuff to happen, where just the intentional effort of the counselor to invest in the camper by, talking to them one-on-one in a way, without having like a one-on-one kind of by yourselves kind of thing.
Yeah. Those are all great pieces and parts of camp. And that just scratches the surface. I always also think about nightlives and camp-wide events that we have in the evening that they, at least at girls camp, they dress up for.
Right.
And I think it's so fun. They look forward to those nightlives and those camp-wide events because they're just so fun and everybody gets to come together and you get to be silly and you get to be a kid. And I think, I don't know, I have young teenagers and they're already feeling the pressure of the weight of expectation that comes with just growing up. And I think giving them a chance to be a kid and just dress up, and those counselors dress up and they're silly and we have fun names, and you're able to let loose and just have fun and be a kid. And I just think there's a lot to say about that. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk specifically about boys and girls like separately. So Keenan, tell us what you do specifically for boys at WinShape Camps. And then Emma, I'd love for you to speak just to the girl focus we have and how we kind of capitalize on the fact that we only have boys at boys
Right.
camp and we only have girls at girls camps.
Yeah.
Well, I would say an element that I think really that we use to really kind of connect with kids is good, healthy competition. I referenced that a second ago, but we like to make things, give like things for people to strive to accomplish and to get. And so I really think that, good, clean competition and teaching them how to compete the right way and not allow the things to kind of get to a place where it's not helpful, not fun for others. So good, clean, and fair fun. And kind of go back to like cleaning the cabin and that kind of element. We make that part of the competition as well. So we at boys camp, at both of our overnight camp experiences, utilize a token system, like an incentive-based kind of structured system where there's different point values for, being on time, cabin, cleaned to a livable, condition, just an overall participation and attitude and behavior, just being, just loving camp, there's going to be some moments where kids might not, be super excited about what's going on, but they still try. Hey, we want to make sure that they know that that's something that we see and we want to reward. And so that creates a cool, healthy competition within our groups. And they're trying to achieve, our very location, the Pride of the Pack or the Squad Cup at our 1 week camp location. That becomes very, very motivating to do things, to be on time, things to pick up trash.
Right.
It does very simple, but it really does help a whole lot. So I think that is a really fun element of our boys camp specifically that we utilize to help enhance the camp experience for the kids.
Totally. Yeah, I think you see some similar things at girls camp. I mean, we definitely use some of those tools. And I think it just is a little tweaked for us just to kind of be a little bit more personal to the girl experience, whether our girls are coming in and they're a first grader or they're, about to head into their senior year of high school. I think some of the big wins for us is we focus a lot, I think, on just kind of a culture of growing up girls that are strong in their character, that are not just like strong in character because they're great kids, which we do believe they are. But on top of that, it's like a character that's built on Christ. And we hope that they're coming to camp and like growing in their character. They're growing in the ways that they like show empathy or love towards others, or the ways that they're actively serving people, and the ways that they might help clean up after a lunch or help, tidy up their cabin, or even like in their thought life. We have girls that are challenged to memorize scripture as a part of their villages and like the focuses that they might have. We're hoping that their character kind of in that head, heart, and hands way, like they're building on that, and that the things that we're doing are feeding into that. I also think too, like we just have a culture of celebration as well. Like we want girls to come to camp and feel that freedom to be silly. I think sometimes girls feels like, boys can be silly, but I can't as a girl for XYZ reason. And maybe the younger ones get into it quicker, but our older ones maybe forget how to have that celebratory, fun moment. And we want them to all see it and experience it regardless of their age, and realize like, hey, celebration and joy, like the Lord has told us to live that way. He's told us to have a joyful spirit and that we can have that in him and we can access that continually. And so what does it look like for us to be joyful at camp, to enjoy life together, be silly, and also too, I think not just celebrate life's moments together, but also celebrate each other is a huge thing. Especially the older girls get, I think, unfortunately, our culture encourages them more to compete with each other than we do celebrate with each other. And it can be hard to celebrate your friends when good things happen to them and you wish that it had happened to you. But hopefully at camp, we're also teaching them what does it look like to actually genuinely cheer for the people that you're with, because that's a skill that's going to carry them so far, not just at camp, but also at home. They're going to be noticed and noted as a girl that doesn't just cheer for her own accomplishments, but also actively celebrates others.
I'd like to make just a point of clarification because we do celebrate at boys camp as well.
Yes,
and
of course.
competition is not just an individual based thing. It's for each group.
Right.
So they're working to
We
encourage
compete
each other.
too.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
we
yeah.
do.
I mean, it's always fun. I just wanted to make it sound
Right.
that we when it comes to the competition part, it's a group thing. So we got people working together, encouraging each other to for the benefit of their team.
Right.
We definitely don't sing nearly as many songs as girls camp.
Right.
But
probably don't want to,
But y'all do have some.
We do. And we unashamedly will sing. I'm not going to do it today.
Okay,
on
don't
the
do it.
podcast. No. But just anyway.
Yeah, and we're taking tokens from you guys too.
Okay.
So
We
people
share.
will find out. We're doing tokens at Girls Camp because we, took some notes from them. So
Yeah, so fun. I love, one of my favorite parts of closing program is this, when we, at least at Girls Camp, I don't know if y'all do this at Boys Camp quite as much, but we definitely do at Girls Camp, is the standing O. And so just standing up and giving people that ovation of like, and just cheering people on.
Yeah.
I just think that goes such a long way for girls. And I love that. Okay. As kids get older, we see at camp, sometimes they start to quit coming as they get older for lots of reasons. Probably because maybe they think I'm too old for camp. Other priorities come up. They have more things they have to do in the summer, maybe work. There's all kinds of reasons why, but one of the things we've intentionally tried to start doing at WinShape Camps is give them a reason to keep coming back and to tailor our programming in such a way where they learn new things and gain new skills as they get older.
Right.
And that looks different at our 2-week camp versus our 1-week camp. So talk to us about that specific programming we do for older campers. And I think, Keenan, I'd love for you to go first and maybe talk mostly about Mount Berry.
Yeah.
And then we'll let Emma talk about our 1-week camps.
Definitely like a focus on age-specific training or experiences has been something we've been trying to do for a long time. And something unique about particularly Mount Berry thing that hopefully gets kids to come back, throughout from the youngest age, the completed first grade, all the way to, going into their senior year, is, we have a ranking kind of program that kids are able to be recognized for, their participation, their overall attitude and character, that we use the rank as a means of encouraging those kind of things, so as kids come to camp, they have the opportunity to be recognized by their peers, by their other staff, and earn these ranks, all with the hopes of the one day being able to be selected for our Guardians Journey program. So kids from the youngest looking up to these older kids who have accomplished such a really fun, really challenging experience to reach to accomplish something. They put themselves out there. They try to pursue this opportunity, and if they get selected for it, they have an opportunity to pass this test, and it results in some really awesome recognition of what they've been able to accomplish. So again, going back to camp being a microcosm of life, we get the campers get to pursue something. To seek growth and to seek advancement, and then in a way that's all tied back to Jesus. So it's a really cool thing that I think I know for me personally, when I was a kid, that helped me, that motivated me to want to come back to reach that. I know for my son Caleb, same thing. Like he desires to reach that rank one day, and I know many kids do. So I know that does produce a lot of returning campers, retention, and then after that, they want to come back and work camp. So hopefully that's the case.
And Keenan, you didn't say it here, but you said it to me once. Is that you going through this program growing up? Yeah. You said whether I knew it or not, I was becoming more like Jesus through this program. And so, talk to us about that.
Yeah. So obviously, it's like we're all about wanting to glorify God at camp and be transformed by the message of Christ. And, this program, while it is character kind of focused, these character traits are very much like embodied by Jesus. And, in a camp environment, you're maybe not thinking about it that way when you're a kid.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful I can look back now and see, even though I didn't pass the test, that's okay.
Yeah.
God worked in me through that.
Yep.
And so I can look back and see it, and I've seen it in other guys, and I've been able to use my experience to help, come alongside guys who maybe didn't pass it, that were bummed out about it or upset about it. Realize that that's just, that was an opportunity for God to grow you in a way that you wouldn't otherwise have been able
Yep,
to grow.
that's
So, so very much, there's more depth to it than the kids probably even realize. And that's okay. And that's kind of what we hope they can look back at their time at camp and something that we didn't even necessarily program even.
Mm-hmm.
They have experienced at camp that God uses to change their path and their life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think we have a similar program for girls at Mount Berry through the TIGA program. We hope that some of those very kind of things are also going into their life. We also have the Summit Challenge, which is also part of that. So it's all age specific, kind of that high school opportunity to take your faith deeper and be challenged, like what Keenan said. We hope the same thing is true for them. And really that burden, I would say, that we've felt to like produce age specific programming. We got the opportunity to launch a new thing at Young Harris last year and at Cleveland. Called the Legacy Years. And we're really excited about it. It was so fun to watch that launch in 2024. And the great thing about doing something once is that you get to take notes and make it even better the next time that you do it. And so we're hoping 2025 is even better and now builds on that foundation that first group of campers and staff got to start. But the whole purpose of the Legacy Years is similar to that at Berry of what does it look like to kind of call those high school students up, like to stop kind of calling you out necessarily and more saying, what's it look like for you to be called up? What does it look like for you to go deeper in the disciplines of your faith? Like this is yours to own now, and kind of being more real with them of, hey, you have been in, your house for 12, 13, 14 years, but in a couple years, like it's going to be your time to fly. You're going to go to college or go to whatever is next. And when that day comes, like, is your faith going to be your own? And we know that, the time for them to own it isn't the day they walk out the door. Yeah. They need to start practicing owning it before they even get within steps of the doorway to leave at home. And so the Legacy Years kind of is the opportunity, I think, for us to do that, of saying, okay, what's it look like to explore spiritual disciplines? Like, what's it look like for your faith to be your own, to also have moments in there too that's special reflection, I think, for them as well. So we create some fun moments for them with off-campus adventures or hiking moments, or just where they get to kind of like sit in special worship moments that are just their own and help them to feel special. And the cool thing is while they're feeling special, I think we also see our younger campers, at least last summer we did, of like they look up to the Legacy Years. They see and view them as set apart of like, oh, I want to be in the Legacy Years someday. And I think the Legacy Years campers also catch part of that vision, because we give them an opportunity to kind of turn around during their camp week and serve and work with the younger campers in some capacities, whether that be like through lunch or like bedtime stories or things like that they get to do. They get to also kind of start to see themselves as leaders. And I think that's a sweet spot for campers to be in, to say, okay, yes, I'm a partaker of this experience, but now I'm also leading like those younger than me. And I think they start to see that we're not just feeding them lip service of like, you have a legacy, like lead well, but they start to actually see their legacy in real time happening in the eyes of the campers that are younger than them, that are watching them. And so we hope that week with us, whether it be at Cleveland or at Young Harris, they leave with those deeper disciplines. They're challenged to own their faith, but they also start to see how they do have a legacy. They've seen it come alive. And what does it look like to walk that out when they go back home?
And I didn't mention this maybe earlier, but we actually have 2 guys that were legacy campers last year at Cleveland who we're going to hire to come work as junior counselors.
Fun.
So
that's sweet.
So that's they're
ideal,
applying obviously they're taking seriously the legacy that they have been shown, and now they want to go leave that legacy for others.
The full circle is sweet.
Yeah. Well, parents, I think you knew how special camp was before you listened to this podcast, but hopefully now you're realizing, gosh, camp is so good for my kid in so many different ways. And I hope it gives you confidence in us. We are not perfect for sure, but we do want to make camp meaningful on every level that we can for the good of your child. And we really are trying to come alongside you as fellow believers to just wrap our arms around you as a parent, to say we're going to help you in our way to help your kid get to where we know they can be in Christ. And we're just doing our part. But I hope it gives you more confidence in sending them to camp. I hope it gives you more confidence in telling your friends about sending their kids to camp. I hope it gives you more confidence in helping identify some awesome college students to come and work with us because they get an amazing experience on staff with us. And so camp is so good for your kids. And again, you know this, but hopefully this podcast, again, just gives you a little peek behind the curtain to see why camp is so special. We have a saying at girls camp at Mount Berry that we say to our campers, and it keeps rolling through my head, and I'll close with it, is the Lord will use her adventures to help her grow strong. And we say that over and over to them. And I think it's so true. We have shirts with it on because these adventures that they're having are not just adventures for adventure's sake. They're adventures that are going to help her grow strong and help him grow strong as they move through their years as young people. So at the end of our podcast, every time, Emma and Keenan, we ask a question for our parents listening to be able to take this content and wrap it in a question for their kids so that they can start a conversation. And so the question today is, what is a recent challenge that you have overcome? What is a recent challenge that you have overcome? So we hope that this question helps your child think about something hard that they've done and how they've gotten through that hard thing and come out the other side and have learned something and are stronger because of it. And we hope that your kids have a great time at camp. We hope that you send them year after year to us. And thank you, Emma and Keenan, for being on the show today and all that you do to pour into our campers day in and day out here at WinShape Camps.
Yeah, thanks, Amy.
Glad to be here.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.